For this last form of factoring, we're factoring trinomials. What's a trinomial? It's an expression with how many terms? 3. Okay, it has 3 terms. And it's always going to be in the form like this. First term is always going to be x squared, okay? So you're going to imagine there's a 1 here, so it's just x squared. The second term will be something x, plus or minus something x. And the third term will be just a number by itself. This is a constant term. Okay? So, for example, and I'll go through this with you, you might have something that is x squared minus 10x plus 16. Okay? So whenever you see, so the other ones we were doing, you were looking for a greatest common factor. Does this look like it has a greatest common factor? Can you divide all of these by something? No. Is this a difference of squares? No, it has 3 terms. It can't be. So you're gonna have questions on your test where it's gonna say factor. Well, if there's no greatest common factor and it's not a difference of squares, you're gonna use today's method. Okay? So the first thing we are gonna do is we know that when we factor, we're looking for 2 things that multiply together to get us back to the original question. If the original question is always gonna be x squared, what do you think the first 2 terms are? What times what gives me x squared? X. So we know it's going to be something, x plus or minus something times x plus or minus something. We have to figure out what those numbers are. So you're looking to get this number and this number. I'm going to show you why this works. We're looking for 2 things that multiply together to give me positive 16. They're going to multiply together to give me 16, right? Something times something has to give me 16, correct? But there's something in the middle here. There's a middle term. So whatever your factors are, so it's multiplying together to give me 16, but it has to add up to negative 10. And you're going to see why. Okay, so let's write down all the factors of positive 16. What times what gives me 16? Positive 4 times positive 4 gives me 16, yeah. Does negative 4 times negative 4 give me 16? Yeah. What else gives me 16? What times what? 1 times 16. So positive 1 times positive 16 gives me 16. Negative 1 times negative 16 gives me negative times negative gives me positive 16. What else? 8 and what? Positive 2 and positive 8 gives me 16, and negative 2 and negative 8 gives me 16, right? We have to figure out which one of these will add up to negative 10. Well, what's 4 plus 4? So that doesn't work, right? What's negative 4 plus negative 4? Negative 8. That doesn't work. It has to add up to negative 10. What's 1 plus 16? Positive 17. What's negative 1 plus negative 16? Negative 17. That doesn't work. What's 8 plus 2? Positive 10. Does that work? No. What's negative 2 plus negative 8? Negative 10. That's the answer. That's the answer. Negative 2 times negative 8 gives me positive 16, and when I add them together, I get negative 10. So that's it. The factors are going to be negative 2 and negative 8. And we're going to check to see if that worked. Okay? So we said that this is the answer. That if I take x minus 2, we said it was negative 2 and negative 8, I should get this. That was the original question, right? Let's check. What's x times x? What's x times negative 8? What's negative 2 times x? What's negative 2 times negative 8? Do you see how this worked? We found 2 numbers that multiplied together to give us 16. When we add them up, we get negative 10. We get the middle term. So x squared minus 10x plus 16. It worked. It's correct. Okay, so again, This is a trinomial in the form x squared plus something plus or minus something, c, right? So to factor this, it's always going to be two binomials. And your first term is always going to be the square root of that. What times what gives me x squared? To figure out the missing numbers, you're going to do this every single time. I like to make a little chart on the side. You're always looking for two numbers that multiply together to give me c, if you want to put c here. And when you add them together, they give you b. Okay? So it has to multiply together to give me negative 22, right? And it has to add up to what? What's b? Okay, so this is the hard part, figuring out what the numbers are. Just write down all the things you can think of that when you multiply together gives you negative 22. Well, this one's a little different. If it's a negative, what does it have to be? One has to be a negative, and one has to be a positive. One has to be a negative, and one has to be a positive because it has to equal negative 22. So that part we know. Earlier, it could have been any of the signs, right? This is still trinomials. But your answer are two binomials, yes. Right? You have two terms, and you multiply them together. So, what times what gives me negative 22? Yep. 11 times 2. Okay. What about positive 11 and negative 2? Does that also give me negative 22? You can switch the signs around. Okay, let's add these up. What's negative 11 plus 2? Negative 11 plus 2 equals what? Negative 9. Is that what I needed? No, I needed positive 9. What is positive 11? What's 11 take away 2? 9. Is that the answer that I wanted? Okay, so what are the two factors? So this is your answer. If it adds up to 9, you just literally copy these two factors. It's going to be positive 11 and negative 2. That's it. That's the answer. So it's always two numbers that multiply together to give you the last term. So what times what gives you negative 21? When you add those numbers together, you get the middle term. So something plus something gives me positive 4. So what are some factors of negative 21? What times what gives me negative 21? 1 times negative 21 gives me negative 21, right? But if I add these together, what is it? What's negative 21 plus 1? Negative 20. Doesn't work. I need to get positive 4. What are some other factors of 21? Positive 11 and positive 7 and negative 3, or negative 7 and positive 3, right? Well, which one, when I add them together, will give me 4? What's 7 plus negative 3? 4. What's negative 7 plus 3? Negative 4. Which one works? That one. So what is the answer in factored form? X plus 7, x minus 3. Or you can write x minus 3, x plus 7. I don't care what order you write it in. Yep. Negative 7 plus 3 is negative 4. That is not B. B is positive 4. It has to be positive 7 and negative 3. Doesn't matter what order you write it in, but the 7 has to be positive, the 3 has to be negative.